Hey guys, it's Biggs. Now, we got another treat for you today. Now, you guys, you may know this guy here from some other videos I've shown you and stuff. This is a good friend of mine, Mr. Allan from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Now, I've shown you guys his giant plywood tanks. He's my mentor. He's the guy that's pretty much taught me everything how to do it. But he's decidedly taken a slight turn away from the norm. Now, we've known each other 40 years, 30 plus years.
Long time.
He was the best man at one of my weddings. But we've known each other for so long. We knew each other back in the day when the primary interest was New World cichlids, Central American and the South American stuff. And we used to have kind of a little group. We'd share stuff back and forth and stuff. We encouraged each other. But Dana took a kind of a hiatus from the hobby for a while, and then he came back with vigor. And now he's keeping some different stuff. And today, we're going to go into his little den of sin here, and we're going to show you one of his deviations. So Dana, you're going to show us what you're keeping now? All right, so we're going to enter Dana's little lair here. We've turned on a service light. That's more just for you guys so you can see it. But normally, this little area, this room here would be lit like this. It's very, very dim lighting, and you guys, Dana will explain why in a moment when he talks about the fish that he's doing. But these are definitely not cichlids. They're not New World or Old World cichlids. These look like catfish. These looks, well, at least they're not birds, so I'm happy with that. But why are you keeping a whole bunch of tanks of catfish?
Years and years and years, I thought, to me, spawning catfish has always been kind of like the, if you're a musician, the jazz, like it's a high order of spawning fish. And I've always wanted to try cories. They're not easy, or lots of them are not easy. And so 4 years ago, I started. In a whole winter of efforts of this row of tanks you see here, I had 2 fry. An entire winter, 2 fry.
And you still have them.
And I still have them. That was Corydoras similis, and following year I actually successfully spawned 3 species. The year after that I think I did a dozen species, and this year I'm on number 7.
For January.
For January, yeah.
7 species in January.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Why cories? What is it about it? What makes you drive? Like for keeping all the stuff, I could see the excitement of trying something entirely new. You know, I've never known you to go through a killie phase. I've never known you to go through a live bearer phase. But cory's pretty far away from all the other stuff we've done before.
I really like Corydoras catfish. I have since I was 9 years old when I had my first Corydoras aeneas in a little community tank. It's something I've always wanted to do.
And once you've done through, the handful of common pet store species, then becomes that fun part that we used to love so much back in the day of trying to find new species to work with.
When I pick through a mop of cory eggs, it's like looking for gold. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I must be a fish nerd.
So how many species of cories have you bred to date now?
I'm closing on 30 now.
30 species of cories. All right, well, let's go through them here. This first tank here, these ones with these males with these exceptional little dorsal fins.
This is a pretty special tank because these are Corydoras longipinus, and they were collected by friends of mine, dear friends of mine, in Uruguay.
Oh, hand collected on one of those tours with Felipe.
Yeah, with Felipe. Yeah, so these are very special fish. I've gotten eggs. I still have not spawned them.
Oh, you haven't spawned that species yet?
I have not, no.
Oh, that's not one of the 7.
It is not one of the 7, no.
And what's in the next tank, and what's going on in this tank?
These are aqueous, and they're doing a full Ian Fuller cooling period.
Ian Fuller's the catfish, particularly the Corydoras expert from the UK, and he has all those books and stuff.
So they have been 8 weeks in slowly lowering the water, raising the temperature, in this case for aqueous, and a week from now, I'm actually going to fill it back up with cool water and try and spawn them.
This one looks very similar to that one we were talking about earlier, Rabautai. Are their offspring really colorful too?
They have the same beautiful osprey
Yeah,
that up.
now they're probably one of the most desirable
They-
babies
yeah,
when you
they-
see them.
They're gorgeous. The
So-
fry are absolutely gorgeous.
So run me through the steps of what you're going to do for this next. So now the water's going down, and in about a
The
week
water-
you're going to do what?
In 8 weeks, I've slowly been lowering the water, raising the temperature. You can see the filter is barely running. I've barely fed them. They're in a full state of the dry season.
The water's heating up as
The
if it
water's
was
heating up.
evaporating.
Yeah,
You know?
it's evaporating. I've let the tank fall down. Come on Tuesday, when I have a day off, I'm actually going to set a pail up on top of the tank and drip water into the tank, cool RO water, to simulate a rain, like the
Yep.
water's coming back, and I'm going to feed the heck out of them with live food.
Yeah. So all these South American fish, catfish, cichlids, all those different characins, anything that comes from South America, we talked a little bit about it on one of my live feeds, is most South American fish spawn seasonally.
Yes.
And they spawn based on a series of triggers.
Yes.
Some cories may only need one trigger. Like if you're dealing with some of the pet store stock, they may only need a cold water
A cold
change or
water
something like
change,
that,
yeah.
or adding more live food or something. But some species, like some of the ones you're working that are a lot more challenging, they might need 2, 3, 4, 5 triggers, or basically complete replication of what they have in the wild.
Zygatus here, these fry, I had to bring the temperature down to 60 degrees. Literally,
Wow.
I left a pail of water outside in 20 below weather till I thought it was cool enough, and then I would do water changes out of that.
And nobody would think about doing that. They think they're just going to, it's going to be absolute ick city if they did that, right?
Yeah, no, catfish are, yeah.
But they need that.
Yeah, catfish with ick it's not, I won't
So in
say
the wild, what would happen is basically the ice caps in the Andes would melt,
would melt.
and then all that water would rush down the mountainside.
That cold, softer water
Yep.
would rush down the mountainside and flood the river.
Yep. And that would take all that organic and decaying
Yeah.
vegetation and all that live food and insects and
Literally,
isopods and
it
bugs and whatnot.
Would explode.
Yeah.
Like now the fish are going, there's all this food,
Yep.
there's all this cover because the river is flooded.
Yep.
So there's lots of places to hide.
They can go into the plant life that's now the flooded
which
forest.
Is now the flooded forest,
Yep.
lay their eggs, tons of food for the fry, lots of insect life, lots of larval life.
And also lots of decaying vegetation, what's going to change the oxygen potential of the water,
exactly,
and it's
yeah.
also going to bring the pH down. So I noticed in some of your other tanks, you're actually using different types of botanicals like oak leaves and stuff
Yeah.
to try and simulate those things. Even in your fry tanks and some of the little fry rearing tanks, you've got oak
The
leaves
fry
and stuff.
really like that.
Yep.
Because there's decaying food on the leaf as it decays.
Yeah, they need
the
that
fry-
biocover,
That
yeah.
the fry are feeding on.
Yep.
The Aquarius here, the pH in this tank is probably 5 right now.
Okay.
I haven't measured it, but I know it's probably close.
It's
to
just
it.
you've been doing it enough that you kind of know the routine.
Yeah.
And they're all plant spawners, or do you find a lot of them are glass spawners, or do you just provide that as a receptacle for receiving?
I subscribe. Mr. Fuller has documented a lot of this stuff, and I kind of watch it, but it's all over the map.
Yeah.
A good number of them are mop spawners over the front of the glass.
Yeah.
They like the current. In every one of my tanks, I use a Matin filter. Little plug
Yeah.
for Swift Tropicals.
Yeah. The Hamburg mat filters, so
Yes.
the whole back of the tank is a solid filter
And that works
with a
really
jet
well.
lifter, good flow.
That works really well for Cory.
Gives them a good bio cover too for
Totally.
grazing.
The
and
whole, literally the whole back of the tank's food.
Now I noticed you got the little Cool Whip container. I know what that is, but you want to tell the viewers what's going on and why you have Cool Whip in your tank?
After, there's no Cool Whip in the tank.
You know, it's been rinsed.
It's been very well rinsed, used many times. Once the Corys have laid their eggs, I pick them out of the tank, whether it be in the mops, front of the glass, whatever. I put them in the Cool Whip container with tank water, floats in the tank, bubble and air stone in there, and I'll put 1 drop of methylene blue.
Yep.
And every day I change 50% of the water until the fry hatch.
And also the eggs are also some species the eggs are light sensitive, so you have it covered.
I have it covered
Yeah.
to protect from the
Yeah.
light. I don't know if that helps or not, but I think
Yeah,
it
I remember
does.
that breeding
Yeah.
Cories. The few species that I've worked with, there's a
if
lot
you
of them
think-
were light sensitive.
If you think in the wild they'd be down at the bottom, light would be low
Yep.
for sure. And then
No, really cool. There's a lot of catfish in this room
there's probably
in a very small space.
I'm gonna say there's probably 500 Cory fry in here right now. like a wild ass guess.
And you use RO water, and you just you generate your RO water, produce it, and then you do it manually?
I tailor the water to the fish that I'm spawning.
Okay.
I read up on them and
But
so
you're the guy that's shown me and shown numerous people how to build these automatic water changer systems. You don't have that on here because you're not using your own mains tap water.
These are all manually changed.
Yeah.
I'm messing around with the water and all these things.
Messing around.
Yes.
So these are those ones that the Uruguayan one. What was the name on it? One with that
Corydoras
huge door.
longipinnus.
Okay.
And collected by dear friends of mine.
Yeah.
Very special fish.
And these are the equus, we called it.
Corydoras equus.
Yeah. You don't really see them right now, but they're in there.
These are actual real Corydoras juliichromis.
Trylenience.
And Trylenience are next door.
Oh, okay.
These are real julies, and the
juliichromis. That's right. That's a species, right?
They are,
okay.
yeah. Not to be confused with Trylenience, which are right next door.
Yeah.
And there's also Granti in there, which is the skunk cory, the old skunk cory.
What used to be called Arcuatus.
Used to be called Arcuatus, yes. And those are.
This is Zygatus that you talked about.
Yeah. Zygatus fry, and there's two pair of the Scleromatics.
Those would have been the ones from Rob McClure.
No.
No?
No. I'm not sure if Dwayne got them from them or not.
Okay.
Could be.
And then over here, these are all just kind of your grow-out tanks?
Top left is, you won't be able to see them, but there's Corydoras granti in there, and Corydoras C79, which is Loximus without the stripe.
Look at you and your Cory nerd knowledge.
Oh, absolutely.
Now this is one that I'm going to do a separate video on. This is Schultz eye, the one.
Black.
Everyone knows this is the black Cory, and that's one we're going to put a separate video of this
there's
because
probably 200 fish in there.
Yeah.
And that is Corydoras gassai, or Gaussier, however you want to say it.
Yep.
And there's 3 Corydoras tucano in there, 2 adults. And those are way up Aguensis. Corydoras Aguensis.
you and your fancy names. Now I noticed this thing's got like a shelf. You could pull it out.
Pull it right out, Chris.
So you're using like cabinet hardware. Now that's just so you can access for maintenance or maintain the filters and stuff.
That's the swoopiest thing you've ever seen.
That's pretty slick.
That's pretty slick, yeah. Works good.
Most people, you wouldn't think that could support the weight, but
it'll easily support that. Those are 100-pound rollers on there.
Now in this bottom tank down here, this fry kind of grow-out tank, there's got to be 6 species in here.
There's, of course, Shortsea Black, Corydoras nateri, Corydoras polystictus. There's 5 C126 Aspidoris.
Is the one with the black stripe, is that Matei?
Melini.
Melini.
False banded Cory.
Yeah, you got a couple extra.
I'm learning things. Put it that way. I'm learning.
Yeah, you're just learning. That's what it is. Yeah, you're just dabbling right now. He also has this one tank that's kind of out in is before you get to the big tank, and it's kind of a catch-all tank right now of a lot of his breeders.
This is where I keep, where I stage the Corys, for lack of a better word. That's the C79s, the Loximus without the stripe.
Okay, and those are Sturbe beside them?
Those are Sturbe beside them, yeah.
I remember back in the day when you get Sturbe and then you get Harold Schultz eye, and one was yellow and one was orange.
And then Burgess eye.
That's the one on the rocks?
Yeah.
Yep.
And CW51s. Delphax in there as well. And then from Germany we have inside I'm going to say CW115 or 124. I can't remember which.
See, you can keep this. Your only baby steps. You can keep these with cichlids.
And then Carlier are in there as well.
That's not one I've ever heard of.
No.
There you go, guys. That's a tour of what you can do in a real small space and produce some massive amounts of Corys. Because we were talking about it earlier. There's probably no fish out there that people always say, if I wanted to get into breeding fish, what should I breed? I think unanimously, profitability-wise, if you were able to supply even 1 or 2 species of Corys consistently to a pet store, I think without a doubt that'd probably be the most successful species. Or most successful fish to breed. Everybody loves Corys. Even people that keep cichlids. Thanks, Dana.